This is the triple Qs on the 5-minute time frame. I'm going to give you price targets for Tuesday. We ended the day at $398.67, up nearly 1%. The day's low, $394.41. The day's high, $398.79. This is where we ended. To the north side takes us to resistance and a possible take profit area at $399.32. Above that, at 3 standard deviations and another level of resistance and possible take profit area, $399.94. And should we be so lucky as to get to 4 standard deviations in one day, that's $400.55. If we get to this level, I will anticipate a sell-off as people take their profits and they run. Now, to the middle of the trend and the baseline, $398.08 from where we are, this is support. Below that, at another level of support, -2 standard deviations and a possible buy-in area, $396.83, $396.23, and $395.58. Looking left, note the bounce at support here, here, and here. The RSI is at 74 and it is overbought on the 5-minute time frame. So I do anticipate a sell-off because looking left, you cannot expect the RSI to stay at this level and price to stay high because this starts to go down. This here starts to go down, and I anticipate here as well. I use that obviously as support and resistance as well. And note, there is a gap to the south side that starts at 387.40, closes out at 385.12. We are not in that channel. We are not in that zone right now, but something to put on your radar if you like to go short. But I will definitely be keeping track of this. Now, the next one I want to go over is Airbnb. I've talked about this many times in the past. Traded it as well a long time ago. We ended the day at 140.55. The day's low, 137.58. The day's high, 141.06. The 1-year price target has already been met at 132.08. Then I will go over to tip ranks and see what the high is there. Now, I will move this out of the way. We are very close to the baseline right here, the middle of the trend. And from where we are, this is resistance at 141.45. We're very close. Above that, a gap closes to the north side at 142.91. 2 standard deviations and another level of resistance and take profit area, 144.26, 145.64, and 146.98. To the south side, -2 standard deviations and a possible buy-in area and support from where we are, 138.65, 137.27, -4 standard deviations and another level of support, 135.90. Note the gap that begins at 135.70, closes out at roughly 133.71. So watch out for the landmine to the south side. We're not quite in that channel yet, but we are very close. I will anticipate this to close out on Wednesday as well. The RSI looks like it is turning up, but obviously you'll want to go to the different time frames because it gives you different buy and sell signals. And looking left, note the sell-off at resistance, the buy-in at support, support, a bounce here. And from here, going to the middle of the line is resistance. And what happens at resistance? A take profit area. People take their profit and they run. If you're living a little dangerously and want to play it and let it ride, then obviously you go to the next level, which is this line. If you want to play it conservatively, you can go from this line, or this line, and ride it to the middle and get out. but I like to play the gaps, and sometimes I'll go just a few pennies above the gap or take it out to 2 standard deviations or 3. I typically do not let it go till 4 standard deviations because it typically doesn't get there in one day, and I'd rather take my profits. Now the next one is CI. I've talked about this in the past, pretty recently. Now we ended the day at 296.71, down nearly 2%. The day's low, 296.32. The day's high, 301.97. Now the 1 year price target is 348.53. When I last looked at it, it was 337.68. It's been revised upward. That is a 17% return from where we are. Of course, it's not going to be an easy leg up. This thing will whip you around. We ended at 296.71 to the north side, takes us to the middle of the trend and the baseline. Price crosses there to the upside or crosses there to the downside, the resting period right there along this line. That would be roughly 311.34-ish. Above that at 2 standard deviations, and a take profit area 333.61. This is resistance, and that old target there. Obviously, we'll have to get through this line before we get to the next leg up at 348.53. And 3 standard deviations and another level of resistance, 345.26, 356.91. To the south side, note the gap that starts at 294.40. It began on the 8th. -2 standard deviations and a level of support and a potential bounce area as people buy the dip, 288.25. 277.01, and another dip area here, 265.56, and that gap closes out at 258.96. So watch out for the landmine to the south side and a potential area to go short to the downside. Now looking left, I talked about this back on the 29th. Murat alerted me to this stock. It's been going down, up, sideways, down a little bit, but I want to show you something. I'm going to flip this over to the daily time frame. Show you the big picture. Again, this gives you different buy and sell signals depending upon what time frame you like to play, or use the 5 minute, the 1 minute, the 15 to get in and out. But this is the price target right here. When Murat pointed it out, we did go down. From there, that is a level of support, fell through, went up again, fell back down, and then let me show you 296.71 here. We rode it back up to this level, and from here on the daily time frame, resistance will be 315.65. Then the next target, roughly 336.71 and 357. And again, note the 1 year price target, 348. If we make it to 4 standard deviations, that will obviously take out the 1 year price target. To the south side, back to the baseline, takes us to 273.76. That is support there. And then note that gap that I talked about, but -2 standard deviations and a possible support area, 230.86. And looking left on the daily, note the bounce here at support, the sell-off at resistance here, close enough here, bounce at support. When we are up here and going down, that turns into support. And the RSI is turning down on the daily, so I anticipate a little bit of a sell-off tomorrow before possibly closing at that gap that I mentioned earlier. Now to a trade that I took this morning, JAN. I set a sell order and it stopped me out. Well, here's a look at it on the daily time frame. And note the bounce here, close to -2 standard deviations, and then all the way up to here. That is, oh, well, never mind. I cannot show it to you because, oh, there it is. From here, well, to this level is a return of 265%, and from here to today's price, the high was a return of 215%. Obviously, this is the big picture. It takes a long time to get to that level, but if you like to buy low, let it ride, and then get to the next level of resistance, then there's a lot of upside. All right, let me flip this back to the 5-minute and show you what happened on the smaller time frame. Ignore the horizontal lines. Those are support and resistance lines from previous days that I set out for myself. Typically, I delete it, but I did not do that yet. But you can see how messy my chart gets. And if you want to close out all those little gaps so that you can see it better here. All right, on the 5-minute time frame, we ended the day at, well, actually, yeah, we ended the day at 65 cents, basically, right here. I will mark that out. Change the coordinates to be precise there. All right, to the north side, from where we are, I'm just going to give you levels for Wednesday. To the north side takes us to resistance. Watch out, it will possibly come back down. That's 68 cents. And above that, at 4 standard deviations, 72 cents. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend, the baseline will take us to 59 cents. -2 standard deviations takes us to roughly 52 cents. 49 cents and 46 cents. So when we opened up today, that was right here, right there. This line right here was the open for the day. I had previously purchased that at 54 cents back on August 30, on August the 31st here. I bought it at 54 cents, and look at that, we came back to this level. Then during the day, I noticed it started to run, and I put in a sell order at 70 cents thinking, oh, I'll just put it at a high level and I'm sure it won't close out today, maybe tomorrow, but sure enough, it closed out today. Look at this, the high made it to 71 cents. Now, I never set my stop at 4 standard deviations in one day because I never anticipated to go that high. If we get that high, that's wonderful, but you can expect price to fall down at that level because people will take their profits and go, and then you will be stuck at that level unless, of course, you're investing, you're looking at the big picture, and you think there's lots of potential to the upside. Then you just let it ride. But lately, I've been doing a lot of swing trades. All right, so it got stopped out here, and I had a return of 29%. So I was very happy with myself. I will not be a buyer again until we hit these levels down here. It could be higher up, but it tells me that the chart is moving higher up. Notice the strong uptrend here. And I'm a buyer at roughly -2, -3, -4 standard deviations. And again, I will not be in it again. But if you're here and it comes down to here, this could be a potential area to buy in at support, this baseline here. And if it starts to fall again, then this becomes your next target. Obviously, many levels in between. You can play VWAP. You can play back to different price targets that it's hit. You can do -2 standard deviations, the baseline, and then 2 standard deviations, which I like to do. All right, that does it for me. And I want to leave you with one other thing. This is trade ideas. And let's take a look at the stock momentum detector. I will put the meme stocks for today so you can see how we did, and take a look at the Fang and Friends tickers. There we go. Thanks so much for watching, and if there is a stock that you would like me to go over, please let me know.